camera. Please, don't get in front of the camera.
I said restrict yourself to the sidewalk.
I am on the sidewalk.
Up there.
Right here.
Not over here. Stays behind.
to do is block his entrance. That's what they're doing. They'll get in trouble.
What a shame. Did you get in
This place has broken my heart for about 14 years. The first time I was here 14 years ago as a humane officer, and I don't think anything has changed since. The animals, the birds, had mucus built up behind their beaks, and they were just shunted off that line, hung upside down, and they scream and they go to that knife. And I stood there 14 years ago and watched it, and it's going on today. And I think this is the beginning of the end. It's so wonderful to see all these people out here on the street and to hear people beeping their horns and giving the thumbs up. And yes, there are people being obscene to the demonstrators too, but it's the beginning of a tide of public opinion to recognize that this isn't a processing plant, it's a slaughterhouse. And animals are losing their lives, and workers' conditions here are abominable, and this is nothing that belongs in a civilized land. Thanks very much.
Well, I'm here today because I have come to care very much about chickens, and my experience not only with chickens in slaughterhouses and in the so-called grower houses, knowing about the way they're treated, has been strongly enhanced by my personal experience with chickens and with these kinds of chickens who are raised for meat. I have had 3 of those chickens living with me, as a matter of fact, and have one now from a Tyson slaughter, or rather a Tyson chicken grower house, and the wonder and the beauty of his life and the joy of sharing life with him only enhances my sense that the kind of thing that we are seeing here today with birds who have been off food and water for maybe 12 hours, who are cramped, who have broken bones and torn ligaments, and whose lives are coming to an end, and whose lives only were for the purpose of coming to an end. All of this makes me feel very sad, and to be more than ever committed to wanting to create a world in which chickens and other non-human animals are no longer regarded as food, but are seen as fellow creatures with whom it is our privilege to share this life on Earth for a few brief moments of consciousness. I think this is what we're trying to show people. This is what I'm trying to show people, that the joy of sharing life with a living being is much greater and more precious than the momentary satisfaction of eating on a piece of flesh and whatever pleasures a carcass might provide.
Your pay. You're gonna pay. Oh, thank you. Are you ready? Hi, my name's Robin Walker. I'm with PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and I work on their vegetarian campaign there. I'm here today because a couple of years ago, I was really feeling the strain of working in the animal rights movement. It was very tiring. It was summertime, I was hot. I just wanted to go to the beach and hang out. But I had one more demo to do, and that was a Purdue demo. And I came here and I stood right about where I'm standing here today, and I watched the chickens being brought in, truckload after truckload, hour after hour. And I saw many of the chickens who had already flipped over and were dead. Some of them who were in the process of dying. And one small chicken that I will never ever forget stuck her head out of her wooden crate and threw up repeatedly. I never did make it to the beach that summer because, well, that day made me, as I stood out here, made me realize that my tiredness, my uncomfortableness, my burnout, if you will, was nothing compared to what the chickens behind me feel for their whole lives. So every time that I get a little burnt out or a little sad or I want to take a break, I think of that young chicken who stuck her head out of that crate and threw up and threw up and threw up. That's it.
Just talk about what? Anything?
What are you doing here? What's this all about? You know, anything.
Okay. Well, I think what it's all about is a demonstration against an industry that's built on violence, it's built on brutality, it's built on murder, it's built on a super exploitation of workers, the super exploitation of birds, defiling of the environment. It's basically a symbol of everything that's negative in our society. It's kind of almost a symbol of what George Orwell saw as the future of a human boot stomping on a face forever. And I think that there's a change, that the suffering of the animals does count. And I also think that in a way we're on a roll, partially because meat is now considered as a health hazard. Last night there was a network TV program on prime time, and it was advertised that if you see this, you may well become a vegetarian. There's a China study which points out that a meatless diet is better for your health. There's a Farmingham study that says the same thing. So I think there's a lot of energies that say that meat is really bad for your health, and it's certainly bad for the bird's health and for the health, and also it's bad for the workers' health, in addition to polluting and using non-returnable materials from the environment, so that the future generations will really have to pay for us eating dead animals. So I think from every which point of view, I think the campaign that Jeremy Rifkin is now launching, showing the sort of spotlighting the environmental negatives of a meat-eating diet, I think all these things really are coming together, and I think it's going to be like it was with smoking. At one time it was considered chic and it was considered macho, and now it's really considered a negative, and I think the absolute same thing is going to happen in relation to meat. And I think this is just another indication. There have been articles in the Wall Street Journal about the fact that the restaurant industry took some kind of poll, and 20% of the public wants to see meatless entrees on the menu. Gallup did a poll of teenagers, that half of the teenagers identify themselves with animal rights. So I think we're on a roll. I think that there's concern for the suffering of animals, and I think also there's a recognition that meat is basically bad stuff for your health, and I think that won't be too long before people will see the eating of animals the same way as we now see the eating of humans.